Here we go. I'm in the right group. There's only one group that I'm active actually, and this is the Robert Adams group. So, greetings everyone. I'm going to patiently wait until somebody is able to verify the sound and the picture. Just turn the air conditioner on. We're having a really hot summer here in Australia. Well, actually it hasn't been too bad, but it's quite hot. It can go up to, in Fahrenheit, even 105 or something like that. And so here we go again, another live session. And Marietta, thank you Marietta for verifying sound and picture. Okay, great. So I am really glad to be here again. We're just gonna wait a little bit till others may be able to join. I know some people would like to join. Maybe I'll just post that I'm on live, because then people, maybe I'm not gonna mess because it affects the the live session. So maybe best not to do anything now. Just wait until you can join. So we're just going to center ourselves and relax. Sean, great, thank you, I appreciate it so much. I'm totally relaxed now. This is the only thing that is always on my mind, like to make sure that the sound and the picture is good, and now we can just sit back and relax and chill out. So all good, great. All right, so let us just tune in a little bit, open ourselves to this session. So to start with, I'm going to read out loud. I'm going to bring this a little bit closer while I'm reading. Just a couple of passages by Robert, and that takes us into the place where we need to go, where we need to be, and following with a little bit of silence, that starts our session today. So here we go. I actually posted this one. I thought it was a really beautiful one and reassuring one. So it's for all of us to know, and here it comes. You are already free. The truth is that you are not alive as you appear. The truth is that you are not anything that you can see, hear, touch, smell, or feel. You are not the senses. You are not the doer. You are not searching for anything. You are awake right now. You are free at this moment. At this moment. How profound that is, isn't it? Nothing to wait for. Free in this moment. Let us feel into that. For only the feeling that will bring on the so-called experiential reality of it. I am already free. And there is nothing that can ever interfere in this. Not even your mind, not even yourself. It's a divine fact, and nothing can ever change that. And the following passage, the second one that I actually posted today, is related to this one. It goes like this. There is nothing that can interfere in your freedom. There is no thing that can avoid your awakening. There is nothing that can stop you, for you already that. Be aware of this. You are already free. You are already bright and shining, and all is well. So this is how we started it all. It is a relief to know that there is nothing to do, but to accept. And we need to really understand and discern these seeming contradiction practices that comes from Robert. Then when he's saying be the witness, and then he says even the witness has to fall away, or says practice this, do this, and even that has to fall away. The acceptance. We need to understand that the first step is acceptance. The first step of coming out from identification with mind and body is acceptance, is to be the witness of it. That kind of step cannot really be skipped, So we discern when we find these seeming contradictions in his teaching. There is no contradiction. He is talking to various states of consciousness, various levels of understanding. We are all advanced who are here, we are all free, but in the unfolding process, he's talking to each other, talking to us, and we just need to apply what stands true for us in any given moment where we are in our unfolding. So on this note, let us just have a little bit of silent moment to open up for this session. Just put aside all preconceived ideas, all judgments, all knowing. We know nothing. We come here humble, open, receptive, like in an infant state of consciousness, a childlike state of consciousness, not knowing anything, an innocent state of consciousness. Just open and receptive, here and now, everything is. Here and now, all the promise fulfilled is. Always in the now, always in this moment where the self I am is, where truth is, reality is, fulfillment is. Whatever we need to get out of this session, we will. It will speak differently to all of us, but we all speak the same language in a way. And when I go through some questions, these are excellent questions, and I know that it touches all of us, so we can all relate to that. So let us patiently listen to the questions and the answers and apply them in our own life, because we can benefit from that. We can benefit from each other's questions. There is no other. Your question is my question in a way. Your needing to clarify something applies to me in some way, and I'm thankful for that. So let us just sit in the silence for a couple of minutes to open up, then we start the session. Beautiful. I don't want to sit here without any words in the beginning in case people leave. They come here for a question and answer session, but at the end I reserve a longer period for silence today, and I kindly invite you to stay if you can, because this is the one of the greatest offerings of this session. With our combined beautiful group energy, we go deep and we kind of reach, or we would like to reach, we already there, but to experientially that center where everything gets transmuted, fears, emotions, or whatever we need to work with, we're going to work with in our silence, and that will be at the very end of the session. So now I'm going to go to the first question, and this time we're going to start with Gabriel. I'm not sure if he's here yet. I know he likes to be here and he's looking forward to this session. Usually I leave him right to the end, and I felt like today we're going to start with his questions, his excellent questions that he has. So the first question is, and again I feel his question applies to everyone. He says, I would be interested if you can comment on how to deal with our vasanas, your experience in this. Do we have to destroy every vasana to achieve self-realization? Can we destroy every vasana with the self-inquiry technique? What other techniques or methods can I use for this purpose? I'll just bring my laptop a little closer so I can see a bit better. So, yes, there is two ways in my experience, and that is, one is the self-inquiry, which is very well known to all of us. To whom does this come? Anything that appears, who is the experiencer of that? Who sees that? Who perceives that? Who suffers from that? Whose desire is that? And so on. But the other very, very powerful technique, now that you're asking, I'm going to tell you what I have been applying for probably close to at least 3 years. I first heard this from Vernon Howard. He's a notable metaphysician, and in his time I don't feel people really acknowledged him the way how great he really truly was. And he's not really a metaphysician only, but in my eyes he was a great mystic, and one teacher that truly helped me to catch the little me. And that was 3 years ago when through a lovely group member he came to me, and I began to watch his talks in the 1980s, 90s. And he was teaching that to develop such super conscious awareness that you catch yourself in every moment. You need to see when the egoic self is in playing up. I'm just looking at my phone. If ever any issue with the sun, somebody can call me on Messenger. I forgot to say that. So going back, so he's teaching us and telling us to catch the everything. We have to come to the moment. We have to come to that place where nothing can miss us. Like we need to see all the wanting, the avoiding, the waiting, the judging, the protecting the self, the planning. Watch the little me. We gotta reach the little me in every moment throughout the day. If we are very honest, this little I is in constant operation, always in operation. Everything is about the little I, the little me, feeling hurt, feeling judged, feeling embarrassed, feeling awkward, feeling disgraced, feeling unfortunate, feeling guilty, feeling ashamed, or in the shops, or while interacting with other people, just that awkwardness about it. It's always the little me. Now you really need to watch it and investigate it, and you need to be aware when you're not coming from awareness as the capital A awareness. You're coming from the little I, the little me operation. And just by the fact when you catch it, when you see it in playing the game or in succeed in operation, that already breaks the continuum, breaks that pattern, that human pattern that has been going on. That kind of breaks it already. So again, I'm going back. So what is the typical, in my experience, the three most frequent one is the wanting, which is the desires, the avoiding something, the postponing things, and the third one, a big one, is the waiting. The little I is always waiting for something to come, to something to leave, always in time. And just let us know that when we are in time, when we are in the waiting state, we are always in the mind. We are not in the kingdom of God. We are not being Brahman. We are always Brahman. We are always God itself. But in that moment, we're not identifying with that. For Brahman, God is the timeless being I am. Is not operating in time. There's nothing to wait for. So every time, this was a big one for me, and this was really helpful. I had to watch and catch myself. And I tell you what, if you're really honest, almost every hour, every 10 minutes, or every minute, you find yourself, the little I, waiting for something in time. But once you see that, in that moment, you disconnect from that, and you are in your timeless self. I cannot say you back into your timeless self, because you have never left the timeless self. You're just being yourself in that very moment. And the other one is a judgment. Judgment is like all the time the little I is forming judgment silently or spokenly. This is good, this is bad, oh my God. Always judging and preferring, only the ego is preferring and planning. All these contortions, is not needed. There was a question, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but this is what is coming to me now. Gail, I don't remember her surname, asked, how we can be aware and avoid making decisions. And, the thing is, when one's mind identification ceases, then consciousness takes its place. Consciousness is always here, but when mind identification ceases, consciousness takes its place, and there is not a thing we got to do. There is nothing we have to think about. Everything is spontaneous, automatic, divine, compelling right action. That is what's happening when we're no longer in the mind thinking or believing that a decision making is needed. So I just wanted to add that because it came to my awareness. So, Gabriel, this is what I can tell you to start watching, and this is one of the methods that actually Robert recommends. One of them is a self-inquiry. The second one is to be the witness, to develop the superconscious awareness. When you catch yourself, you watch yourself, you always aware. And then the third one is the absolute total surrender. But this is the one that I'm highlighting right now that really worked for me. There came a moment after some time with this practice that I can honestly say that nothing could miss me. There was not an egoic act that could miss my attention. I developed that super conscious awareness that I could see it. And you know what? As you begin this practice, you might be surprised, because that's when you begin to see how much the little I is in operation. Whereas before, it was always in operation, but awareness wasn't so sharp to catch it. It kind of missed you. You didn't even know it was. Everything was so unconscious, so spontaneous, so conditioned that it was not seen. But once you begin to consciously watch it and perceive it, you might be quite shocked how strong the egoic mind is still in operation. That was my experience. But that's, you don't have to be disheartened about it. It's actually great, because once you see it, be grateful. Every time you see an egoic tendency, vasanas are really mind tendencies, habitual tendencies. When you see that, in that moment it's over, because it's been seen. And in that moment, it's almost like a switch. Once it is seen, the light is back on. You switch it back on, the light is back on. So that is how it works. I'm just looking at this in the for a moment, the comment, everything's still good. Okay. So yeah, I'm just looking here if anything else to say about it. Do we have to destroy every vasana? The thing is, you cannot destroy it as you. Because the one who sees the vasana is on the same level, in the mind. So you cannot destroy it as the egoic self itself. However, in the light of your true being, once it is seen, it gets destroyed. It just falls away. So my experience is that initially it was a lot. Like, once you start this practice, it's a lot of vasanas come to your awareness. You'll be shocked. But then as you see it, they dissolve and they become less and less and less. Now, I cannot say that the suggestion never comes to me. It can come to me, but it's seen immediately, and no power or energy is given to it. So it doesn't take, the illusion doesn't take root, because it's seen by the light of my being, and the same will apply to you. So that is my answer to the first question of yours. Now the second one, second question. I remember that Robert commented that we should meditate at least a couple of times a day, 30 minutes. Shouldn't this meditation be 24/7? Should we witness our thoughts and emotions by observing everything that happens in our minds all the time? Now, this one is a very easy one and quick one to answer, because he does recommend that we spend time in active silence, so to speak, 15 to 20 minutes twice a day, morning and night. And yes, you're absolutely right, 24/7 awareness. I mean, there is no really meditator. He's not recommending in a way that we have to practice hours of meditation, sit and meditate, because then it applies to-ness. There is a meditator on something to meditate. It's more like, I like to call it active silence, like the giving the attention to the presence completely, without anything else. It's very beneficial to just sit and observe and just watch what thoughts coming, and just no identification with them. That is called active silence, and it's wonderful to do that in the morning or at night. But yes, meditation, our life is lived by meditation, which means lived by conscious, constant, continuous awareness. That is how it is. I trust that clarified it. And now comes the third one, which was a longer question, so here it comes. I know that on this path we take refuge from all suffering in the depth of our hearts in absolute consciousness, and that to truly synchronize with the depth of our own heart, we need to surrender completely to this, our absolute self. This mortal dream still offers me comforts, nice moments, pleasures that I see that my ego would not be very willing to give up. I wouldn't need to give these up. This mortal, and then it continues. But the issue is that I see that I am attached to these, and not having them or thinking that I could lose them makes me uncomfortable. I would feel upset, which is an obvious obstacle in my path. I recognize that they are conflict, non-existent part of the dream, but I still identify with situations. I attach myself to them. When I remain in the present, the possibility of losing them in the future disappears because I know and feel that the future does not exist, and I am aware of this. But the attachments still remain in my ego. I recognize that this ego is just a thought, which also has no real existence, but I still react. I see then that my surrender to myself is, until today, partial. What remedies do you think I can apply to work with this? Thank you. So, a great questions, and it applies to all of us. I feel like we all go through this. So let me just go back to the first one, because I feel that this is where the benefit comes for all of us. I'm going to break this down and let us really do the work now. It's not simply a mental exercise we're doing here, me intellectually answering questions. We're doing the work right now. Right now we're going to be doing the work that we're going to be discovering in any moment who's speaking and where we're looking from, because this is what leads to self-realization. So I'm going to use this gem, these questions, and we're going to apply and work with them. I kindly invite you to do that and just pass the mental level. We have to go beyond the mental level right now to get the benefit from what is coming. Okay, so I'm going to break it down, and then Gabriel says that here it is. The mortal dream still offers me comforts, nice moments, pleasures that I see that my ego would not be very willing to give up, and I wouldn't need to give these up. You really need to see who's speaking now, because this mortal dream offers this to Gabriel, not you. You know, you need to so deeply disidentify from everything that you see, feel, touch, hear, you know, with the five senses, that we need to almost look at this person we're speaking about or of as ourselves as a third person singular, a she or a he. We need to not treat it as us, because as long as we report something like this and phrasing our sentence like this, it tells me it's clearly very deep identification with it still present. So you understand what I'm saying? So in a way, I can see that you're still identifying as a Gabriel, and because this mortal dream still offers me comfort. You're talking about that third person, right? That is not you. So maybe, perhaps, and it might sound strange, and maybe it looks like that our English language is not so perfect grammatically, but we cannot speak this way anymore. We can say that perhaps there are desires still present, because we're not lying, we're not denying what seems to be present, but we cannot articulate and speak in a way that is happening to me, because then we completely identify with that. So we can say that the mortal dream still offers, you know, comforts, nice moments, pleasures, and there is something that I see that is not willing to give that up. You cannot talk about it like you, because you're not that. It's that dream character, the Gabriel, the name that was given to this form, and you coming and talking from the witness point of view. This is what you're seeing, this is what you're perceiving. You're just observing the whole thing. You're not identifying with it, okay? So then it comes the next one. And then you said that I wouldn't need to give this up. Well, you don't have to give this up. I understand that, sometimes it seems like that we're missing out in this human pleasure, the human experience. You don't have to give any of this up as long as you are willing to experience both. Because if there is a desire left for the good things in this world, the pleasures and anything and everything, then by the law of this world, we will need to experience the opposite of that. As long as you're willing to do that, but just know that if the desire remains, then there will be always this experience of these, both of them, and you will be living by karmic law and not by grace. And I also know from your beautiful deep share and question, it is your deepest, most heartfelt desire, in a way, to live by grace, to not to live as a human being. So I'm just showing you the way based on my direct, authentic experience of how this mesmerism, this hypnotism, the identification with this personal sense can be broken. Firstly and mostly, I'm repeating myself because it's so important you catch this. You cannot speak of this person as yourself. It's not you. That's number one. So again, it's two sides of the same coin. You know that the pendulum will swing either way, but you will not rise beyond that. How do we do that? So let us continue. So you say, the issue is that I see that I'm attached to this. You're not attached. You know how you can phrase your sentence differently from here on? You can say, I understand this, but the issue is that there is still attachment to this. You're not saying I am attached, because if you're saying I am attached, then you are identifying with the experience. You're not there. Okay, so you're beginning to learn to phrase this thing differently. So the issue is that I still am attached to this, and not having them or thinking that I could lose them makes me uncomfortable. It doesn't make you uncomfortable. It makes the ego uncomfortable. You have to always see that. It makes that so-called person who is not uncomfortable. And you're not the ego. And then you continue, then I would feel upset. But who would feel upset? The ego would feel upset. You're reporting that if I continue, if I have to let this go, then I would feel upset. So you're speaking of the third person. You say, okay, so this attachment and this someone would feel upset, but that is not you. That is not you. You're just observing the dream character in this dream. Its movements. You're just observing and reporting from that place as the seer, in a way, So, and then you say it's non-existent. It's part of the path. So, you really need to see, again, always see when you say something. It's great you're saying this, but who are you who is saying this? Because you cannot possibly be the self. The self would never say that. So it has to be the ego reporting. When I say ego, I don't mean to put you down. You know what I mean. It's not just words. It must be the personal sense, just reporting where it is at. It's presenting something which cannot be solved on the same level where it is. So you just need to see that. Okay. Again, the breakthrough, I feel, will come for you when you catch this vision and you begin to watch this persona as a third person, as a he, and you begin to watch this body that appears to be yours as somebody else's. Total disidentification. Then the mesmerism is broken. So then you say that you can see that this is part of the dream, and like, because you're not able to completely and full, you're saying that you're not able to completely and fully surrender to this, although you would like to. It's called, in a way, like a part-time devotee, but we cannot be a part-time devotee. Sometimes we surrender things and sometimes we don't, because then it's not possible. The divinity is undivided. You cannot have your interests divided at this point. At this point, there has to be so purity, and I know this is what you would like, and I'm just showing you the way of how to get to this one. So again, like when you talk about the future disappears and then the future doesn't exist, and you're aware of that, that's great. So here comes the true devotee, like, you're aware, you know where you are. You have to investigate each time you say something, who's speaking. So, and then the last part is, but the attachment still remains in my ego. I recognize that this ego is just a thought, which also has no real existence. So, yeah, this is it. Like, there is nothing more to really add to this. Nothing more to add to this. I trust that you catch what I'm speaking here. It's getting a bit hot here. That what you need to do and how you need to look at it. And with this attitude, I feel there will be a very quick breaking from the identification. As soon as you can see it as a third person, it's not you, but a third person, it will be broken. It will be broken. So I'm just coming and watching the video. Is still good, everything good, because I'm on my email. I'm not seeing the camera, where I'm here. So going back to my email. So that was this. This is what I could say. So let me know how you're doing with this one. If you would like to try and take this approach, I feel it is good for all of us to experiment with that, and then you can tell me. I would be very interested to hear your feedback on this, whether you experience like almost like a quickening. Because for me, when I began to take this approach, was like a quickening, a very quick breaking from the egoic identification. So see how you go with that. And there was another question. It's pronouncing the names is not my greatest thanks, but Marwana Bakis says that we are used to experience experiences. There is fear from disappear and what it will be and means. We have preconceived, we have preconcepts also about after death and judgments, heaven and hell. There is curiosity that was built over years about this, so there is fear of disappear. Some insights here will be grateful. So, look, I addressed this before in the previous live about this. Yeah, you're here. That's great. I'm really, really glad. Oh, Gabriel is here too. Oh, great! I'm really glad that you heard me. Just give it a go and see, and please let me know how it goes. I really feel this might be the key for you to break it really quickly. And Maron is here too, so I'm talking to you directly. Wonderful. Thank you for being. So you just have to teach me how to pronounce your name, Maron. Okay. So look, I know the situation where you are at. We had a couple of dialogues before, and I touched on before in the previous lives that there is sometimes when you go very deep into the self, and this world is collapsing, all of the structures, everything, the safety and security and all of it is collapsing, then there is a fear rises. Oh my God, you're finding yourself at a cliff, and as if you are thrown off the cliff into the big nowhere, into the nothingness, and you feel all alone. And there's a fear, oh my God, if I go any further, I will just disappear. That is the fear. We fear of stop existing, disappearing. But what we need to know and understand that only that can dissolve which is not aligned with our true self, our identity. So you can never disappear as the self, because you are the only one that is here, and any fear around it is still the egoic tendencies, that, oh my God, I will disappear. So actually, I'm curious if you would like to give me a feedback, all of you, whoever listens to this, that in your devotional practice over the years, you would be going deeper and deeper into the self. And as you move away from world identifications and personal identifications, there is a sense of bareness, a sense of emptiness, a sense of void is growing inside of you, and that brings fear. And was it your experience, or have you ever had that there is just something that cannot stay there, and want to run away from that, and want to disconnect from that, and want to fill it up with activities and so on? Because I'm telling you that that is where we need to stay, no matter how uncomfortable we used to call it loneliness, but actually it's aloneness, but the aloneness, the loneliness feels, we need to stay there, because only in staying there is where the reality opens up. So we just need to bear those few minutes or few hours or few weeks or even few months of discomfort, of being removed from the world in such a powerful way that we find like, oh my God, I'm the only one here. I had that a lot of the times, like in deep meditations or silence, like, oh my God, there's nobody here, only I'm the only one. Great. That's a great sign of progress into dissolving that which is not. So again, the fear or any emotions that we have, and we're going to do this meditation or silence on this at the end of the session. Here's the thing, is when we're able to not reject the emotion, when we're able to allow it, allowing no matter what comes, knowing it's not coming to me, it's not happening to me, energy is present, certain emotion is felt, but it's not happening to me. But if we are running away from that, if we are disconnecting from that, we will never realize that it was never real to begin with. And the way we're going to realize that all of the emotions, sadness, loneliness, fear, worry, guilt, shame, or whatever, is only an illusion, because as we go deeper and deeper into the silence, you're not moving in time on the horizontal line. We're not waiting for a change to come after I've done so much sadhana. We're moving on the vertical line into the depth of our being. We're not going anywhere, just deeper, deeper, deeper ourselves. And when the suffering is accepted, is not even the best word to accept, is allowed. Anything and everything that arises is allowed, by no one rejecting it or hating it or wanting it to go away, is allowed. Then we go deep into the self, and in one moment something changes. Suffering turns into joy for no reason whatsoever. Pain, fear turns into bliss, just a bliss of existence. And because of that, that is the moment of realization that had the fear or the emotion or any kind of thing had been real, it would never change. It would be here forever. It would be permanent. But it just shows you that the fear or the suffering is only the opposite side of the happiness. It's the same thing. So there is no difference to the pain and the pleasure. There is no difference to the suffering and the joy. and the joy. It's just different degrees of the experience. It's the same thing. But when we reach that center, and again, there is no we. We have to phrase our words in a way like better said, when the center is reached, then we are beyond both the good and the bad, and there is just that bliss, and that is the way to realization. Now, when there is suffering, pain, physical, emotional, spiritual, any kind of pain present, it's actually an opportunity, a greatest tool that can be as a catalyst for our rediscovery ourselves, because we use it, we're not pushing it away, we recognize it's here because that is what is taking me on the next step of my unfoldment, and it's here for a reason, and that is what I need right now. So as we learn to embrace it, as we learn to work with it, it becomes the catalyst of our awakening. Because the thing is, and this has been my experience, only in the presence of the seeming opposites do I realize. Nobody realizes, just words. Only in the presence of the opposites realization can take place. Only in the presence of the opposites, because then both disappears, and what's left is the eternal self in the eternal now, the unborn self. And suffering and pain leads there. Now, the bigger the suffering, the bigger the depression, the bigger the shock that comes into the experience of us, the faster it can happen. Because then it's so difficult, to bear it, that we drop it. There is no more trying to solve anything or resolve anything. Just drop it. So that is what came to me to tell you about it. Now, going back to you, Maureen, I know that there is a lot of physical issues going on with you, a lot of physical pain and discomfort, and I'm telling you, if anyone, I know what it's like to live with ongoing chronic pain. It's a very difficult one, but I also know that without that, I wouldn't be here where I am today. All those recognitions, the realizations wouldn't have been confirmed from within had I not gone through the worst, the deepest and the worst, And to this day, there is it doesn't mean that once you have a recognition or a true seeing or awakening or realizations, because the body continues to do what the body is doing. Like I give you an example last night. I wasn't planning on any of this to share, but I'm just sharing you to tell you that it's not only you going through physical things. It's okay, it's okay. The body is doing, like as you know, I didn't have it. There was this cold going on with me for 2 or 3 weeks now, and that actually turned into asthma, because there was an asthma diagnosis 3 years ago, and I haven't had any asthma attack for 3 years, and there was one last night, a pretty severe one, and I was wondering, oh God, I really would love to be here at the live session, but I'm lacking air, can't breathe out, dry cough, and it was probably the most uncomfortable one last night, maybe it hit its peak. And what did I do with it? I thought, the words came like, okay, it is what's happening, it's already allowed, it's already here, it's already allowed. So just know that it's not happening to me. It's the body's going through, and if I'm meant to be here at the live session, thankfully I am not the doer as Palma. None of it that I'm doing, I couldn't do it. I could not do any of this, And if the divine would have me show up, then I will be in the condition, and I will be able to come. And that is one of the reasons I couldn't give you a specific time, and I'm really sorry. that I'm not able to commit to a specific time yet, but I'm doing my best. I really would love to be here all the time and give you a time so you can all join, at a time. But I'm going into that, So now I'm giving a specific day. I'm here on this Sunday, in Australia, Saturday in the US, and I'm here around 9 o'clock. But I still need that little bit of flexibility to see that I come on when it is the best time, when I feel the best because of these issues, I'm not identifying with that, but I do want to make sure that when I'm here, then consciousness is speaking, through me and as me, like I want to make sure, and it's just by grace, I'm here, and everything is done with ease and grace and effortlessness. Why? Because I'm not doing it, thank God. If I try to do it, I couldn't be here. So let us take on this approach, and not to judge it as good and bad. It's just happening. It just is. Everything passes. Everything passes. What is not passing is the self that I am. It's not passing. And if you have got the fear of death, or I know you have the fear, Marine, that what if the heart stops beating, before the realization comes, just please always trace it back. The amazing inquiry by Robert. To whom does that fear come? It cannot possibly come to the self. So it must be that personal sense of self which is totally powerless. So it's okay. It's okay. You need to trace it back, and as you continue that the fear is not yours. The pain is not yours. You watch it. You watch it. Third person. You watch it as a him and a he or an it. It's not you. Then the fear will break. It was never there. That's why it can break. So that was my next point. I trust it helped you a little bit. And now I'm going to address something, a topic that I promised that I would talk about, and that is a very important one. I'm gonna put my laptop back. I don't have to read now. I just need to read the questions, and there will be more. But so I just wanna say, so fully connect with you. So I'm just no laptop in my hand. I'm just here, fully present. This is something that touches all of us. I'm just gonna have a sip of water. Most of us find ourselves with families that are unawakened, or living the conventional human life. And we come into this experience seemingly, of course we never come only in the dream, but see, we come here and we don't fit in. And this is why I wrote that book, that somebody discovered that I had a book. And this is why I called it Life Without a Mask. Because my parents, they had an idea of how I should be and behave and fit into the conventional things, and I could never do that. I didn't like school, the subjects, most of them. I found it superficial, irrelevant. I was a rebel in a way, like there was a rebelling, about all these irrelevant things. And all I ever wanted is to be my authentic self. Because every time I needed to be with family, it felt like I had to put on a mask and be who I am not. And that wore me down. That made me extremely, that brought on the tiredness. I didn't want to socialize after a while. It made me a loner, and then it just goes on and on. So, and then I just wrote it down, that how I came to embrace in my years of awakening years my true identity, in spite of the condemnation, the judgments that I received. I didn't receive. This Palma received, I would say, through family members and the society and all that. And it was a lot of pain and sadness and suffering around it for many years, because in those years I didn't quite disidentify from the person yet. And I took it personally that they didn't like me. I got disowned a number of times by family, my beloved godchildren, for the way I am. But now it is very different because I can see that I never got disowned. I, who I am, was always free and has always been free, and only this so-called person, the she, the Palma, that felt not loved, not accepted. And we need to see these rejections coming from family members in that light. It's not coming to me, it's not happening to me. Now, I'm going to touch on something very important now. There was a dialogue with one of you that sent me a message, and then, we discussed this. And he said to me that he feels really bad because he's the spiritual one in the family. He's got a sick mother, and he has a brother who is not spiritual, and the brother is able to help the mother. And here he's kind of half broken financially, lost his job, lost his health, lost everything in a way in this world, and he's looked upon like an irresponsible person who's not helping the mother, not helping anyone, who's not able to do what he needs, who is supposed to do. And I had that a lot of the years, even though I was never without. I lived by grace for many, many years, and all of my needs have always been fulfilled, most of the time not through traditional work. I don't do traditional work. I'm not working traditionally. Every time I try to do traditional work, it falls away. And this has been for the last 20 years, it just my path there. Remember how Robert says that, if you are to work, then you will be forced to work, even if you don't want to work, to find a job. And if you're not supposed to work, then no matter what you do, is not going to happen. Eventually, after recovering from that deep sickness that they was present for over a year, there was a job that came to me, and I was really happy about it. It only lasts for 1 month. It fell away, and then here I am, but always supported. And this is what I'm called to do, what I'm doing right now. I don't have a say about it. I don't have a choice about it. It is what it is. This is what's happening. Even if I resist, I couldn't resist it. This is what the divine would have me do. And my whole heart and my every being is here in this group right now. And I absolutely love doing the passages and the comments and I love doing what I'm doing. This is what's happening. So, but not to deviate from the subject. We need to realize that it looks like maybe that person is not helping the mother, but what is really help? We can only really help the so-called other if we are our true self. If we are our true self, like if I am the self, then I am the beneficial presence on the planet. And if I am, maybe it looks like that the brother is supporting the mother more, but he's unawakened. So sometimes we just need to be, in a way, selfish, and we just need to work on ourselves, because only to the degree that we become free, we'll be able to really help others, or we'll be a beneficial presence to the others when there is only one in our consciousness. So we need to stop this self-condemnation, this self-judgment, this comparison. Why I am not like my sibling, I am not doing my duty. We need to see that we don't have choice in the matter, because what is coming into our everyday experience is but our karmic past. Is not even our karmic past, because the self has not got karma. It's the karmic is the karma for this personal sense. That's what's happening, and it's got nothing to do with me whatsoever. And the reason why there is still suffering, and we seem to suffer the consequences of our actions, because we still think we are the doers and we have choice in the matter. We don't. And until and unless we see that, we see our helplessness in a way to what is appearing. We need to see that. Only then we will be free. We will be free. We are free now, but we will experience our freedom. So we are able to stay in the guiltless state of consciousness. We're not going to say, I regret this, or I should have done that, or I could have done better, because we need to understand I'm not the doer. If I still insist on I could have done better, then I'm still saying, no, I don't believe that God is the doer. I am the doer. So we're not accepting, we're not being the self. We're not accepting, we're not being the self if we insist on being the doers. So how do we bear the condemnation, the judgment that is coming from unawakened people? We develop in our heart the greatest compassion and love, because and I never felt there was never a feeling of resentment really towards this being. Sadness, yes, for a while, but no resentment, because for some reason, from the beginning of this life experience, I never actually felt that I could have done differently. I always felt like no matter what I did or what shame I seemed to have brought on my family with marriage and divorce and marriage and whatever that was, I know that I couldn't have done it differently. There was knowingness of that. Thank God that was grace. I came into this experience with that knowingness. There was never regret. There was never I could have done differently. So if we don't have that yet, we're developing this compassion, this understanding, this love towards ourselves, which is the greatest, absolute, ultimate alchemy. Because if I don't love myself the way I am, I don't love God, because God is all there is. I don't love the self. I don't accept Brahman. And if I cannot love myself the way I am, how can I love you? How can I accept you when you are me? So we come to this understanding, so love is all there is, and we have got this deep compassion for these unawakened beings, and just love them for the way they are, because if they could do it differently, if they could perceive differently, they would, but they cannot. They're coming from wherever they are at in consciousness. Consciousness is outpictured. So how could I resent them for not liking me, for not accepting me? They're coming from the level of the mind. The mind will never understand the self. The mind will never understand truth. So I am the awakened one. You are the awakened one. Let us be the awakened one in our attitude towards these family members or relatives or friends or whoever. And one more thing, there might be a change, an almost inevitable change in our unfolding process when it comes to friends. And because these old friends, associates, almost have to die out, and there will be no match on the frequency level. And we don't have to let these friends go. We don't have to stop anything. They will walk away themselves if they don't find a frequency match, a resonance with us. They will walk away themselves, So we just allow everything to be. We know there is only the one I am. We correctly identify as the spiritual self, not just one person at a single moment in time, but with expanded, omnipresent self is what I am, what you are, what we all are. And the condemnations are only to be born back to the human. They're never to me. We've never been condemned. We've never been disliked. Only the he, the she, or a it. We need to look at that. And that is the dream character. So we completely disidentify from that. With love in our heart and understanding and no resisting, and my experience has been that after years and years of not people not understanding me, and not, how could they, because I no longer resisted them the way they were. I no longer, I never actually resisted, but no longer, there was no emotion around it anymore. And then somehow it changed. They just came to embrace me the way I am. The family embraces me. I mean, it's a long distance when I'm in Australia, they're in Hungary, and but there is no friction as such between us anymore. There's just nothing, It's just completely normal. There's not a lot happening, but this is what I was saying, that um, when we embrace our true identity, everything shapes itself in such a way that freedom is experienced. Nobody is disturbing, nobody's denying, nothing. It's just here. So I wanted to really take time to explain this. So if do we really want self-realization? Because Robert says that you have to realize that. Do we really have the understanding that as long as I insist on being hurt, disgraced, unfortunate, not happening for me, there will be no realization, because I'm separating myself from the world. So drop that. Let us drop that right now. We're going to do just a couple of minutes silence. In whatever way I'm still holding myself responsible, omission or commission, past actions, they were never mine. They were just this illusory self, and it just can't be dropped. Because I, the self, has no past. Nothing has happened. Nothing has ever happened to I am. The self I am has no future. Nothing to wait. I don't live in time waiting for things. I am in the eternal now, the unborn self. As we find this in consciousness, when there is no jumping into memory, into the past, and no anticipation of the next moment, we find ourselves here and now, in the timeless realm, where everything is, and this is where we come white as snow, and it doesn't matter what the person did or didn't do in the past. It makes no difference. If I'm able to hold this awareness in the here and now, all karma stops, all time stops, vasana stops, everything stops. Only the complete utter oneness. Nothing else is real. So now I'm looking at my list and looking at the time actually. Let's see how long we've been here. 1 hour. I'm looking at what else I'm going to address. There was a post and where is it? Yes, there was a post that it said if you're not experiencing freedom now, you will never experience it when you drop the body. And to some of us this was not clear, so I would like to add a little bit of explanation to this. Because we're not moving in time, let us accept, let us understand that nothing will happen in time. 5 years of more sadhanas in a way will not bring the truth, because the truth is already here. So it only needs to be accepted. So the truth can only be realized while we're here, in this, not here, but while this heart is still beating, because after this, if the body is dropped and the truth hasn't dawned in consciousness yet, then as we all know, there will be another body coming. But the thing is that everything is already right now in this divine instant, in this divine second, peace is, realization is, and everything is here. And if we don't, and this is a wrong word to say, if we don't experience it now, or if this truth is not ours right now, it cannot possibly come after we drop the body, because then we think oftentimes when we are in this bondage, and I know, going back to the sickness, it came to me a few times, like it's really hard right now, but once the body is dropped, I can breathe again and no more physical pain, and then I will be free. But the thing is that with this attitude, we believe in experience, and we believe in an experiencer. That's what holding back the realization. We think, okay, this is my experience right now, all this bodily pain. Once the body drops, then I will be free. So we're still continuing that belief in our consciousness that there will be another experience. And only as long as there is another experience coming in our consciousness, we believe in mind and body, and that is holding us back from that. So the truth, reality, can only be ours in this divine instant right now. If it's not here now, it never will be. It will not come with time. It will not come with 5 more lifetimes of sadhanas. Nothing will change. Nothing. Sadhanas are great in terms of quieting the mind down and bringing us into that super conscious awareness. But then the mind has to go still, or else we're always chasing something, waiting for something to come. This is the greatest gift you can get from this session, I really feel. This is the greatest offering right now. Nothing can come with time. No effort will bring on the realization. Nothing will bring on anything. Only the resting in this now, here and the now, in the timeless realm, as the unborn self. It's all here. Now we cannot drop the desire of not wanting this, but as we continue our purest practice, which is this silent practice, everything will fall away on its own. It will fall away. We cannot stop desires, because the desires are fueled by the personal sense. It cannot stop it. A false sense cannot stop a something false. But in the light of our true being, in the light of our true seeing, everything unlike itself dissolves. else. And that's an absolute guarantee. That's a promise. It dissolves. So I'm just looking at my list again now to see what else we're going to cover. There was this question by Gail Flynn, and I kind of addressed it in the beginning when it comes to how do we become aware and not have to make choices in this material world. And I'm just going to repeat it because it's a very important one, that we stay away from planning. We stay away from the burden of choice making. There was this great teacher, as I mentioned, and I'm really thankful to him, Vernon Harvard. I learned something from him. There was something that very profound, and he said, if you can bear of not knowing the answer of what to do, if you can bear of not knowing, because you're thinking, shall I do this, shall I do that, I don't know which way to go, and if you can bear not knowing it, that I can guarantee you that truth will come, and you will know when the moment is here to know. You will know, but there will be no you knowing. There will be just knowingness of what to do. But you need to bear in the meantime of not knowing what to do, and be okay with that. Because if you don't know what to do, if you think you need to make a decision on something, and you don't know, and you kind of get all hyped up and then pressured about it, it's only the mind activity. You don't need to know. When needing to know is, when needing to know, then it will be revealed with ease and grace and effort, without effort, So again, we cannot possibly be aware and be and function at the level of the mind at the same time. When one is in, the other is out. So if I am aware and I know that consciousness is all there is, and the thinking process is not needed, everything is revealed, then I'm at peace. I'm peace. But if I am thinking and trying to read into things and reason things, then I'm not aware. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot be in two planes. Either or, when you are in one, the other is out. So again, you always watch, and only the person needs to know. Only the person who wants to know anything. There is nothing that we need to know. And I know that practically in this human experience, sometimes comes like so-called deadlines, like, but you know what? When the deadline comes, and there will be some moment, maybe a moment before you need to make it, but there will be like a divine compelling something coming, and it will be not you deciding it. What will come into the picture is what needs to be done, independent from your preference or your desire, so that is what I would like to say. And then so no decision making is necessary because consciousness takes over. And initially, we witnessing all phenomenal occurrences, and then when that dies out, the witness raw, then only consciousness is. So I actually covered this already, so I'm not going to go into deeper into it. The whole point, everything boils down for the mind to merge in the heart. We're so accustomed to the thinking process, to the thinking, figuring out. None of that is needed, honestly. Everything is so simple, that that's why the mind cannot bear it. It's just too simple. The mind always needs to remain active and complicated and in problems. So that was it. And so I'm just going to look at another maybe question, and then we will move into the meditation, the last part. So there was this question that came in just half an hour before I came on live, and this group member Vrayesh Brahmat had a question before as well, and I couldn't answer because I wasn't looking at my comments during the live. So he asked me just now, what is the right method of who am I self-inquiry? So I'm going to answer this one really briefly and quickly. Um, it's a very good question, and it's very important to understand the right application of it. But just basically, this is the essence of Robert's teaching. The who am I self-inquiry is whenever a suggestion is made or presented by the mind, we need to inquire of the source of that. To whom does it come, or who is saying that? Whom does it come? Because the whole point of this is that we need to find the person to whom it comes, or the sufferer, or where it comes from. And ultimately, with our inquiry, we place the question, who am I? And we never answer it. There is silence. Or to whom does this come? We don't answer. And ultimately, the discovery dawns in consciousness that there is really no I. There is no thought. The thought is identical with the I thought, like the identification of the personal sense. But when we trace it back to the source, we come to the realization, there comes a realization that the personal sense cannot be found. Now with this who am I practice, just who am I? And silence. And the whole point of that is that after the silence, that space, before the next thought rises, is the true self, the void, the emptiness, the allness, the nothingness and the allness, where the true self resides, I am. And with every time we place that question, who am I, or we do the self-inquiry, that silent space, that gap, gets widened and expands. There is an expansion, and even felt expansion, longer the gap before the next thought comes. And to that degree that the expansion takes place in the silence, to that degree is the mind gets weaker and weaker, and the personal sense kind of shrinks until it just cannot be found. So that is the practice. Okay, so here's this one more. Eric Spartan said something. Thank you, Eric. It's when I thought sinks in the heart, isn't everything becomes chaotic because the ego grows in the heart, the source, rather than remove the I, everything disappears. Please enlighten. Now this question was placed to the post that I put up saying, when the I thought sinks in the heart, everything disappears. And what disappears, this everything is everything that is false, everything that is images, the illusory sense world, that this disappears when the mind merges in the heart. And which we actually know. And then your question is that everything becomes chaotic. Well, actually, the chaos is, the seeming chaos is taking place in the progressively in the so-called dying process, but dying to that which is not. Nobody dies and nothing dies, but that which has never had any life or substance dissolves, disappears. And the more faith we had in our human safety and security, the way we knew where our everything came from, like certain jobs, income, just we are so used to the we want to be safe and secure. That is what the greatest attributes to the humanness. So all that is dissolving, and fear comes, and this is why sometimes the job is lost, and the health is lost, and then all these kind of things lost, because we are to learn to, we are to rely on the self alone, like not any channels, any safety blankets. And there's a saying that give it all up and get it all back, because it seems like everything at one point, everything goes, everything dissolves, like nothing is left, in our life experience. And it seems like, oh my God, like I don't have ground under my feet, and I'm just floating in the thin air, and my whole life is turned upside down. What have I done? What have I done? And that is the way, that is the path. Nothing has gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong. If anything, it's a sure sign that the whole human picture is dissolving, and that seems chaotic. However, when it is complete, when it is completely dissolved and not a trace of humanness left, or attachment, it's just not left, then everything comes back, because nothing has ever been taken away. The only thing that has been taken away is our way of going about things or getting things. There is no getting anymore. There is only just receiving and accepting and embracing what grace brings, but there is no demand on life, on God. There is just nothing, and that is the most beautiful way to live. But in the unfolding process, it can be very chaotic. Lots of doubt can come to mind. I remember years and years ago, going back maybe 15 years ago, there was a lot of doubt. Oh my God, like there was no regret, but just thought, my God, if I let myself go, if I just continue on this path, like I'll be homeless, and then what will happen, what will happen to me? And but then, when you've gone far enough, when you had the darshan of God, when light touched you, when truth touched you, there is no turning back. There is no, and you don't want to turn back. Why would you want to go back to humanhood? You cannot go back. But the only way to go forward is just completely disappear, as the separate self. This is why the most powerful tool is the self-inquiry, and the most important is, the key to all is to ask, to whom does this come? Because the seer, the perceiver of the illusion, of the fear, is the one that has to disappear, because the condition cannot exist without you. When you, the fearful one, the perceiver one, disappears, everything goes with it. Now, it's not frightening. It's actually a relief. It doesn't mean that the images will not be, playing up, but there will be no identification with them, only just a witnessing in a way, like just, this is why the sage knows nothing happening. The body can be burning, got nothing to do with it. Not my body, never had a body. I don't have a body. So this is where we gotta come to. This is where we gotta come to. Okay, so thank you for that, and so I'm just going to go into touch very briefly this last one, because then we're gonna go to the meditation. It's time, it's been a longer session than last time, but I just would like to really answer to all of your questions. And this is a very briefly I'm touching this, and then we're moving to the last phase now. And this was, no, where is it now? I just lost it. Where was this? Oh, here it is. That was Terry Hoy and Rick Lee made this comment that there must be more to this, as I thought acceptance of what is was the best attitude to life. I don't get this passage. What do you think he meant? What do you think Robert meant? And I read you this passage so I can clarify this. And the passage was, if you accept something, you will never get to the goal, because acceptance is the opposite of rejection. Again, there are two sides of the same coin. So, you don't want to accept nor to reject, just be. And I think I answered this in great length in the live, sorry, in the comment, but just with my own words. So here, this is why it's important we clarify a few things by Robert. His teaching is very straightforward and very clear and very pure. However, it can sound contradictory because he's, as I said, talking to various levels of consciousness. For someone who is deeply identifying with humanhood, with experiences, and finally saying, okay, I accept my true self as opposed to my personal sense of self, the suffering one, that's a huge step up. But as long as there is somebody to accept something, it implies two, a subject and an object. And reality can only be revealed from within when there is absolute purity in consciousness, total absolute oneness. So I can, actually it's not hard to see. If you say I accept it, I accept, I'm the self, then you have to investigate who are you saying that? Who is that is accepting? Would the self say that? Or is it perhaps the personal senses? Oh, I accept. I'm the self, It's kind of comical. I'm gonna laugh in a bit, So as long as we say there is a me who accepts something, so we gotta learn in a way to speak in a different language, like acceptance is, like awareness is, wholeness just is, without anybody putting up the hand. It's me. I am now accepting, And the same is with the rejecting. It is two sides of the same coin. So that's what he meant. But sometimes, he's talking to this level. Sometimes he's talking to the ultimate, to the highest advanced devotees here. So you just need to always discern and apply to what feels right for you in your unfolding process where you are right now. I tend to address and speak only the absolute. I tend to skip the contortions and always speak to all of us as the one, as if everybody was on the highest, most advanced level here, because in a way we are. And I cannot go back and just, so you know what I mean, like I'm always going to point the absolute, always going to refer to the absolute. I have to skip the in between, because that is a waste of, it's a loss of time, but it's not wrong, if that's where you are at. And this is the fastest way, I feel also. But by all means, if we're so deeply identified with humanhood, and that's the first step that we're accepting, it's a beautiful step, beautiful, beautiful, So I hope you're hearing me and you're understanding what I'm saying. So that is what I wanted to say on that. I think there's nothing more, really. Accepting, what is accepting? Is to be here and nothing else is. Nothing else is, nothing has ever been but the onboard self everywhere. And that leads us to our last part of meditation practice. If you don't mind me, I just need to step out for a moment. I'll be coming back in just about 30 seconds. Just need to grab something, and then after that we do it. So just bear with me, okay? Because I really would like to be comfortable and give my whole entire self to be present for what is to come. So it's been a long one, so thank you. Won't be long. Just 30 seconds. Thank you for waiting for me. So now we're moving to the last part of our session. And this is a very important one, because with our combined group energy, our love and light and true being here, we are diving deep into that self that is here and now, and we're not actually going anywhere, but we are just being that and nothing else. And if you have any emotion that is so acute or so present in your experience right now, say if there is fear of something present, or hurt, or guilt, or embarrassment about something, what we want to do right now is to find the source of that, to we want to get to the realization of the nothingness of the suggestion, and that it has got no power, it's got no life, it's a nothingness. That fear is only a thought that is presented from the world mind to this so-called individual mind. And if I am in the thinking mode, and if I identify with the body mind, then I accept it to be true. But that can be uncreated, that can be reversed. And as we reach the center of our being, everything becomes nullified, neutralized, and nothingness. And then consciousness dawns on consciousness that it had no reality ever. So I'm going to guide us into this meditation now, which will be followed by about perhaps 10 minutes silence, because in the silence is where the greatest work, the greatest transmutation is done. You don't need to do anything. You cannot do anything. There is nothing to do, because grace is here. Grace is present for all of us right now. But grace cannot flow to a me. Grace can only flow to itself. Grace and self is the same thing, the capital self. So let us center ourselves. And as we enter or connect with, because we're not going anywhere, we're always already here, as we connect in the sanctuary of our heart, of our true self, we leave outside all thoughts, all past fears, doubts, condemnations. We actually acknowledge that all those things seem to have taken place to the personal sense who I am not. The one who is moving through a karmic past, I am not. I am here. The unborn self before time. And we're not going to worry about what's going to take place later on the day or next week. There is no person to worry. So we just here. But because this is a specific guided exercise, so to speak, you can hold in awareness for a moment of whatever is what you need to see or would like to see transcended, nullified, neutralized. Just for a moment, and even then it can let go, because you don't have to hold anything. There's nothing you have to do. Everything is being done here and now. So deeper and deeper and deeper into the onward self. And the best way to tap into that is to tap into the timeless self. There is no time. 2,000 years ago is right now. Or the moment when Robert Adams was giving talks is right now. Is right now. It wasn't in the past. Everything is right now. Everything is here because there is no time. So Robert is here. Grace is here. The sage is here. Is here. And is open to embrace. He embraces and becomes one with all that opens up to that. The sage is here. The one and only is here. And now. If pain is present, physical and emotional, thought, activity, or anything present, let it be. Allow it. Allow it. You're here, free, beyond the concept of freedom, always free. Here and now. Just allow the sensation to be present. It's okay. We're diving deeper and deeper into the silence of my beautiful self. I am. And perhaps there is a felt experience of this expansion of this omnipresent self, for it cannot be only in the room that the body seems to occupy. It goes beyond the eternal omnipresent self, which means there is no place where I am not. There is no place where peace is not, harmony is not. For infinity means infinity. It leaves no room for anything unlike itself. Where I am, peace is, harmony is, bliss. Just the joy of existence, beingness for no reason at all. I am the life of everyone that walks the earth, or has ever walked the earth. One life, one self, one beingness. Separation dissolves. No parts, no segments, no gaps, just one invisible, indivisible, omnipresent self. Everything encompasses this self. I am that, leaving nothing and no one out. Love is here. Love so great. Only love. Only love is present right now. The love of God. bringing itself home, realizing I never left home. So with this now I'm going into silence for a few minutes, letting be whatever it is, not identifying, not my thoughts, not my feelings. I am here. I have always been here. I have always lived, and I will always live. The one eternal, omnipresent self. It's going deeper and deeper and deeper into this silence. The world disappears. With the thoughts, images disappear. Everything becomes nothing. And this nothing becomes everything. I am that I am. The whole point of this silence is to recognize that all emotions dissolve in the silence. Everything dissolves because it never had real existence. feel startled when in one moment bliss takes over. Such joy, such peace, for no reason at all. Why? Why is it possible? Because that is my true nature. It's always here. As the clouds of false identification are removed, the sun is shining eternally, and only the sun, and nothing can survive in the light of my true being, unlike itself. Truly, and this may be your experience as well, that the only time you can ever say that you're truly happy is when there is no desire for anything, no wants, no needs, nothing. Then happiness is beyond imagination, and that's the only time happiness can be. True everlasting happiness for the self I am is complete and fulfilled when? Always now. Where? Always here where I am, for the self is the only one everywhere. So wherever I am, wherever I find myself, completeness is, fulfillment is. That can only be now. For the self I am is now. So perhaps I could stay longer in the silence. With my back then group, we used to stay even for an hour in pure silence, because even actually Robert said in one of the tapes I heard not long ago that he said, we're just going to be having only silent meetings now for a few hours, because silence is really the greatest, the ultimate. But since I want to make sure it's not overly long, the session, so I'm kind of opening my eyes, and I'm really thanking you all for being present, and I thank you all for the so-called human sacrifice in a way that you're making. There is no sacrifice, but it seems that way for a while. You're making that for crucifying that which is not, for being who you are, because that way you truly are a beneficial presence for the whole world. And even when one being wakes up, becomes completely aware and awake, is affecting the whole entire humanity. So I salute you. I have incredible amount of respect and love for you all for doing the work, for I know it's not easy in the unfolding process, but you can do it, because grace has got you. You're not the doer, so it can be done. And I salute you for everything, every step, everything you take. You just persevere, you stay put, the self is here, is all good, and no one can miss the boat. It's impossible, because we already are that, so only just the things that are blocking the view, falling away. We cannot let it go in a way, but they're falling away on their own accord as we abide in the practice. So thank you, everyone. And I meant to say this announcement in the beginning, but I always have a little piece of paper, but I never look at it, really, this one here. So I forgot to say that. I thank you so much for those of you who write to me private messages and want to become Facebook friends with me. And I say to everybody that I am not active at all on my main Facebook page. I just don't do any spiritual work there or anything. There are a few family photos, and that's pretty much it. So I don't really see the point of accepting or inviting you to be friends, because that is not my life. That is illusory stuff, I don't identify with that at all. Here I feel more connected with you, so don't feel the need to do that, because there will be just nothing there, no substance, no teaching, no sharing, nothing there, but here we are in this beautiful intimate position where we can share safely. And then I thank you so much for understanding, for me seeing the pointlessness of accepting a bunch of people, for my page that I don't even identify with. So thank you. And the last thing that I wanted to say, that I recently discovered, Becky and I have been looking into how we can put all of my lives together, that if you would like to go back to the Christmas session or the one before, you can go back easily. And at first we couldn't see it, but then by grace the other day I saw that on the laptop, not on the phone, but on the laptop, there's a section called media, and if you click on that section media, it brings up 3 options, and that is photos, videos, and albums. And if you click on the videos, then all of my live sessions are there in chronological order. So that is the easiest way to find all the live sessions, because as we go ahead, it will be harder and harder to trace it back, because they appear on the phone amongst the photographs, the picture messages, but really hard to find them that way. So so voice is too I'm just seeing a message here. Voice is too soft, should stick a mic. I have got a mic. I actually purchased a very good quality microphone and camera prior to starting this session, and I was trusting that you guys can hear me. When I go really deep within and it's not Palma talking, then the voice just changes, and this is how it is coming out. What you can do is use your headset, a headphone, because it turns up the volume. I'm using a very old laptop also that my other one broke down after I poured coffee on it, and I'm just using this old laptop, so this is the best I can do right now. But I trust you can hear me. Use the headphone. So I'm sorry if it is not loud enough. I'm speaking up now, but as I'm taken into that deep place, the voice just changes. This was really soft and really low, so that's just the way it comes out. So thank you, everyone, again. Thank you for all your comments, for the presents. I'm just looking in case there is a question here, because last time there was a question I didn't answer. What was the sickness? It is something that karmically going through, like a nerve pain, when it was experienced in the sitting, when I just couldn't sit for months and months, and imagine how difficult that can be, when you live by yourself, and you cannot sit in the car or in the chair, and you have to kind of lay in bed all the time or stand for a while, but then you start developing bruises from being in bed for so long, so one led to the other one. But I am very thankful for all of my experiences, and honestly, I would not have it without them. I would go through them again, because I know that they have been the greatest catalyst to my deepest awakening. So without it, I wouldn't be here. So all is good, all is well, all is grace, always, only love. Thank you again. See you again next time, and if you have any questions, any comments, feedbacks are wonderful. I really would love to continue working with you that way. The more you share, the deeper we can go into. So all questions are embraced and appreciated. exactly 2 hours on the dot. Again, 2 hour session, we done it like that. Thank you. Bye for now. All my love to everyone. Bye.